On July 1st, 2020, my life was changed forever when I was thrown from my horse. We were practicing the barrel pattern when my mare came out of the first turn in a full-blown bronc across the arena. I remember hitting the ground on my side and being dragged by my boot for a few inches before I somehow broke free. I knew when I sat up that something was very wrong. This was nothing like any other time I've taken a tumble off a horse. The accident landed me in the ER with a severely broken shoulder. The initial x-ray showed that the top of my humerus had been snapped in half inside the shoulder joint. I was told by the ER doctor that I would need surgery at least within a week. It was absolutely mind-boggling to imagine being in the amount of pain I was in for a whole week. I could barely walk. Thankfully, my husband, my fiance at the time, had called one of his old orthopedic surgeons who was able to see me right away. When he assessed the damage, he made us aware of the severity of my injury, and he cleared his schedule for the next morning at 5 a.m. to get me into surgery. After a very restless, painful night, I was eager for surgery, even though it was the first I'd ever experienced before. During surgery, my surgeon was able to see that not only was my humerus snapped in half, but the top part that fits into my shoulder joint had been shattered into many pieces. I think I had counted at least 9 screws and a plate used to put everything back together. My surgeon said that if I had waited a week, the pieces of my bone would have died. I am not sure what that would have meant, but I know it would not have been good. I'll be forever grateful for this surgeon who knew how urgent my injury was, and for my husband who had called him in the first place. The aftermath was tough. At the time of my accident, I was 4 months postpartum with our first daughter. I was unable to hold her for 6 weeks following my surgery. In fact, I wasn't allowed to pick up anything that was even the slightest bit heavy in fear that I could damage the healing process of my shoulder. Before my fall, I was breastfeeding my daughter and co-sleeping with her every night. The sudden change was hard for the both of us. My baby cried for me and I couldn't soothe her. She had to learn how to sleep away from her momma very quickly. Thank goodness for my husband, who basically had to act like a single father while I was bedridden. For the first 6 weeks post-surgery, I was blessed to have family members help care for my daughter and I while my husband went back to work. After that came 8 months of physical therapy. Having my arm in a sling for 6 weeks caused it to lose all muscle tone, strength, and flexibility. I couldn't straighten it or even apply any pressure to things like lifting or pushing objects. Physical therapy was so brutal, but it definitely helped me get my strength back and put me on a path to keep it. By the time I was finished with physical therapy and given the okay to ride again, I was actually about 4 months pregnant with our second daughter. At this point, the trust I used to have in my horse had been shattered, along with my confidence. After doing a lot of groundwork, I was able to get back on a few different times. But being a mom to a 1-year-old, on top of being pregnant again, I wasn't getting to the barn very often, and I stopped riding entirely when I was about 6 months pregnant. When I was pregnant with our first daughter, I found it difficult to get out to the barn as well, and then finding the energy as a first-time mom after she was born was also a challenge. I believe the sudden inconsistency with riding or even exercising my horse had a lot to do with why my accident happened in the first place. My mare was never one to buck, so when she did, I knew then that she had not been handling my absence very well. This all added to my avoidance of the barn and really made me tend to stay away until I was able to consistently exercise my horse and give her the attention that she so needed and deserved. This was also to make sure that I was putting my safety and my unborn child's safety first. Of course, this time around, she was kept in a pasture, getting fat and happy with her pasture pals, so I can't imagine she was as upset as she was during my first pregnancy when she was kept in a pipe corral with occasional turnouts. You live and you learn, and horses sure do know how to keep you humble. I gave birth to our second daughter 3 weeks early, on July 1st, 2021, on the 1-year anniversary of my accident. Now I'm a mom to 2 babies, a 2-year-old and an almost 1-year-old. After nearly 2 years of taking a break from riding my horse, I've decided to get back in the saddle again. Prior to my accident, I had 16 years of riding experience. I halter broke and saddle broke my current horse and have trained many horses in the past. I've assisted a local reining horse trainer for a few months and learned from many other knowledgeable horsemen and women in the past. My dream is to work with horses, training and competing in not just barrel racing, but other disciplines too. I want to expand my knowledge and become a better horsewoman, but first, I have a huge obstacle to overcome. I need to regain my confidence, rebuild the bond between my horse and I, and get back into the groove of riding again. As a mom, so much has changed inside me, both physically and mentally. My core strength and balance is not the same. I'm heavier than I was before, and to my horse, I probably feel like an entirely different person when I'm on her back. Not only that, but my skills on the ground have gotten rusty and I'm dealing with new emotions that tend to affect the way I handle my horse. My patience has changed. So the point of this channel is to share my journey back into the saddle after a severe riding accident, but also after becoming a mama to 2 babies. I also want to share the knowledge I have. My goal for the next year or so is to get comfortable riding again and possibly focus on entering some local barrel races. One of my biggest goals is to enter a barrel race at a rodeo. I also aim to learn more about different disciplines and find something my horse really takes a liking to. While doing all of this, I am also going to be figuring out how to balance mom life with my horse life and hopefully learn how to combine the two without too much trouble. Thankfully, I have a very supportive husband who will be by my side along the way. I hope you guys enjoy my journey and maybe even relate to what I'm experiencing. I know I'm not alone when it comes to getting back in the saddle after a bad accident and after becoming a mom. So, my friends and fellow mamas, let's get back in the saddle. Here's to happy healing and happy trails.